Now, Donald Trump, talking to the Associated Press, really mucks it up here. And he did it so much, and I got so many quotes, I got tired. I got tired of winning, so I'm only gonna give you a snippet of it. If you read the whole interview, you're going to be amazed. It'll make your head spin with how stupid he is, how little knowledge he has of anything that's going on in the world. Send this to your conservative friends. They'll be upset at first, but then maybe some percentage of them will actually read the interview and go, "Wow, really? He didn't know that?" That is a little troubling. Okay, so first let's start with Elijah Cummings. He's a Democratic congressman that went and talked to Donald Trump. Now, I'm going to defy you, if you're in the right wing, to try to figure out what in the world this word salad is. So here is a direct quote from Donald Trump in that interview about the Cummings meeting. Quote, "Well, he said, you'll be the greatest president in history of, but you know what? I'll take that also, but that you could be. But he said, we'll be the greatest president, but I would also accept the other. In other words, if you do your job, but I accept that, then I watched him interviewed and it was like he never even was here. It's incredible. I watched him interviewed a week later and it's like he was never in my office. And you can even say that." That almost makes Sarah Palin sound smart. Okay, so then we go to just weird, needless bragging that would be deeply embarrassing if anyone at work did it. Imagine somebody at work brags like this, or at school, etc. He says, "I'm rebuilding the military. We have great people. We have great things in place. We have tremendous borders." What does that mean? We have tremendous borders. Do other countries have poor borders? Like, look at their border. Ha! Funny border. Our borders are #1. We have tremendous borders. I guess I know. A lot of right wingers, they don't mind. The president makes no sense. Doesn't say things that make sense. Who cares? Who cares? I like him. He's an idiot, but I like him. All right. Here's more of this. "Our military is so proud. They were not proud at all. They had their heads down. Now they have their heads up." The military have their heads up. It's a thing. I mean, if Obama talked like this, they'd write him out of town. They'd say, what a buffoon this guy is. Imagine what they would say about him. Okay, Trump then goes on to say that he was a little surprised by how big things are in the government. You think I'm kidding? It's a hyperbole, right? No, not a hyperbole. Here's a quote. "Well, the one thing I would say, and I say this to people, I never realized how big it was," referring to the government and the presidency and the White House. Everything's so, and there's a ton of unintelligibles here, okay, throughout the interview, because nobody can tell, even the reporters can't tell. They talk to him, they can't tell what the hell he's saying. Everything's so the orders are so massive. So the AP is of course confused. They're like, what do you mean the orders are so massive and that everything in government is big? That's a surprise. Okay, all right, so he explains. "When it came time to, as an example, send out the 59 missiles, the Tomahawks in Syria, I'm saying to myself, this is more than just like 79 missiles. This is death that's involved because people could have been killed." You didn't know that? You didn't know that when you drop bombs, people get killed. All right, he says, "This is risk that's involved because if the missile goes off and goes in a city or goes in a civilian area, the boats were hundreds of miles away. And if this missile goes off and lands in the middle of a town or a hamlet, every decision is much harder than you'd normally make. This is involving death and life and so many things." You didn't think the presidency would involve life and death decisions? You didn't think dropping bombs involved life and death decisions? You didn't know that missiles could miss? You didn't know it could kill civilians? It's happened hundreds of times already on your watch. Bombs dropped by us on your watch, not just when we're bombing Assad, when we're bombing ISIS, when we're bombing in all these different countries. Hundreds of civilians have already died. Getting interviewed at the end of last week by Associated Press, is like, who knew that? Who knew that when you drop bombs, people die? I didn't know that. Man, it's so big here, so big. There's apparently other parts that he found big. "The financial cost of everything is so massive, every agency. This is thousands of times bigger, the United States, than the biggest company in the world." Yes, schmuck, we all know that. Everyone in the country knows that, but you. This is so, it's not just embarrassing, guys. He's gonna make decisions about war. We're so screwed. One, on the decision to go to war or not to go to war, whether it's Syria or North Korea or God knows what else. And two, the decisions within that war. Oh my God, the whole world's screwed. Now, then they asked him about his 100-day plan. He put out a 100-day plan. He didn't meet almost anything on that plan. So he says, oh, well, things came up. I'll give you an example. I didn't put Supreme Court judge on the 100-day plan, and I got a Supreme Court judge. Associated Press, I think it's on there. It is. Picking a Supreme Court justice was on his 100-day plan. I didn't put it on there. Oh, I did? What do I know? I didn't write it. Yeah. Nor did he read it. Okay. Now, how is it different than running a business? He says, well, in the business, you don't necessarily need heart. Oh my God. Whereas here, almost everything affects people. Here, everything, pretty much everything you do in government involves heart. Whereas in business, most things don't involve heart. Come on, guys, you're proud of that? That's the guy. First of all, of course what you do in business affects other human beings. When you employ people, it affects them. When you scam people like you did in Trump University, it affects them. Yes, you also need heart in business. You need heart to exist as a human being. But this schmuck's like, oh, you don't need heart to do business. That's where you crush people. Oh, in the government, I didn't know, man. It turns out you have to kind of care about people. Okay, you think I'm exaggerating about the business part? Here's the next part. AP, what's that switch been like for you? Trump, in fact, in business, you're actually better off without it. Without the heart. That's the kind of guy Donald Trump is. This monster is the most powerful man on earth now. Okay, you're going to do tax cuts, he announced to the Associated Press. He's like, I shouldn't tell you, but I'm going to tell you. I shouldn't tell you, but it's coming out on Wednesday. Okay, all right, so the Associated Press asks, do you have any details on that in terms of rates? Trump, only in terms that it will be a massive tax cut. It'll be bigger, I believe, than any tax cut ever. Maybe the biggest tax cut we've ever had. In other words, he didn't make the plan. He doesn't know what's in the plan. Is it the biggest tax cut ever? What do you mean maybe? You said it's ready. You're the president. What's the rate? Okay, fine, you want to announce it on Wednesday? No problem, that's not a big deal, right? You can say, hey, I don't want to comment on that, we're going to announce it on Wednesday. So you go, but it's going to be big. It might be the biggest ever. I don't know what the number is. Because it's not like you think they're going to trust me to make policy? No, the establishment Republicans are running everything. I just care about how much my golf courses and hotels are making. Okay. All right, then they asked him about the wall. He said, drugs are terrible, the drugs are terrible. But that's okay, quote, the wall will stop the drugs. Oh, that's it. The wall will stop all the drugs, that's it, it's right there. Okay, great, I'll hold you to that promise. If you're, God help us, running for president 4 years from now, and the wall has not stopped all the drugs, can I then come around and go, hey, you told us the wall would stop the drugs? What a simpleton, what a child. In fact, if this was your child, you'd be embarrassed. Last one, and this is only a third of the interview. Go read it, every nook and cranny is embarrassing. If I did the whole interview, it'd take the whole hour. All right, so this is about NATO. So they asked me, Wolf Blitzer, asked me about NATO. And I said two things. NATO's obsolete. Not knowing much about NATO, now I know a lot about NATO. NATO's obsolete. And I said, and the reason it's obsolete is because of the fact that they don't focus on terrorism. You know, back when they did NATO, there was no such thing as terrorism. Okay, yeah, no, when they started NATO, there was terrorism. Terrorism's around a long time. In fact, terrorism has decreased since the 1970s. They started NATO earlier than that. It does. You can't talk history of this guy. He knows nothing. He's an ignoramus that knows nothing. But to me, the most important part of that quote is, did you hear what he said in the beginning? That when he was running for president, and he's talking to Will Blitzer in an interview, and he gets asked about NATO, he said, not knowing much about NATO. You're running for president. NATO is our top alliance. And you just admitted you don't know anything about NATO while running for president. And he says, well, no, I figured it out. I'm in the White House now, and now I know what NATO is. Congratulations, little Donnie. Did you figure out what NATO is? Did you after you became president? Wow, must be so proud. This buffoon, this child, this incompetent clown of all clowns is the president of the United States. Doesn't know anything and doesn't even realize he should know those things. The depth of his ignorance could doom us all. The president of the United States. This guy is the commander-in-chief. I didn't know what NATO was. I was running for president. I mean, who knows what NATO is? Did you know government is big? Did you know that? I didn't know. Golly gee, come in. It turns out you need heart. It turns out you got to care about people. I never cared about people before. And government, it's even bigger than a business. Who knew that? Of course, earlier he had said, healthcare is complicated. Nobody knew it. North Korea is complicated. Nobody knew it. No, Donald Schmuck, you're the only one who didn't know it. God help us all, young Turks. Our reporter Jordan Chatton broke the Donna Brazil story. He was right, she just apologized for it. Help us get more reporters like that. You're the one responsible for that. Thank you, and let's do more right now at tytnetwork.com/go.